start with that.
We came in, we're just going to start by advising you, giving you Miranda rights, and then you have the right to remain silent. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Anything you say can will be used against you in a court of law. You understand that?
Yes.
You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you're being questioned. You understand that?
Yes.
If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before and during any question if you wish. You understand that?
Yes.
You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Having these rights in mind, you want to talk to us today?
Yeah.
Okay. We just wanted to get that out of the way. Rich is on his way over.
Okay.
This is the email that Rich sent over yesterday.
All right.
So he is on his way. Anything you want anything while we're waiting? We shouldn't be.
No.
But we can
No,
get something
I'm
What
good.
can you eat?
No, I'm fine.
candy bar or nothing.
You done with the
No.
newspaper already?
What did you just swear off those candy bars? It's
It's
in the fridge. I don't know if it's... No, I'm gonna eat it. So anyhow, we'll be back out over here when
All right.
Rich gets here. All right.
I won't go anywhere.
All right. Promise.
Well,
Morning, Israel.
Scare off my own lawyer.
How are you doing today, Drew?
All right.
Hey, just before we start, I know these guys read you your rights earlier.
Yes.
Okay. And then you were just meeting privately with Rich Koenig, your attorney.
Yes.
And Rich just came out and indicated that you did not want him to be present today.
Correct.
Good.
So again, I want to make sure we have those ground rules. Rich told me that you indicated that you did not want him present today. So we will take you at your word on that. And if at any time you would like us to call Rich back or any other attorney to be standby counsel, please let us know, okay?
All right.
We're only going to be talking about things unrelated to the Samantha Koenig case today. You understand that?
Understood, yes.
And obviously, without your attorney present in the Koenig case, we won't be able to talk about anything related to that case. And if you start to talk about it, we're going to have to stop.
Right.
You okay?
Yes.
All right. That's been sitting in the refrigerator for the...
Thank you.
Well, here's the thing, the FBI's been cleaning out the refrigerator.
Keep for 100 years or something. Yeah, exactly.
All right. So talking about other crimes, we wanted to kind of pick up where we left off on some things, give you any information that you might be thinking about over the last few weeks.
Right.
Related to that. And I think we had some updates on the New York search and things like that. So why don't we start there?
Okay, and also the live feed, I wanted to
Yeah.
jump into that, because I know we came over on Tuesday. We had it set up, we had a couple guys up in Tupper Lake. To go over the bank route, yeah, bit of a drive.
That was a 3-hour drive.
From where they were at.
Yeah, in all fairness, I never set up a specific day, but it actually would have worked because my attorney didn't show up till that afternoon.
All right, well, it didn't work that day,
Yeah,
but we
so-
had hoped to have it set up today, since when we found was going to work for today, but Albany had some other stuff come up. But I have to say, it was pretty cool. We tested it, and the way that, just so you have an idea of what it looks like and what to expect, because we'll try to set something up for next week. But we did 2 laptops. One of them was essentially like a tracker, so you had an overhead GPS, Google
Okay.
Map kind of view.
Right.
And then the other one was the live feed actually from the camera. And then the plan, we had speakerphone, so then you can say, go right here, go left here. And our plan was just to use, because Tupper Lake's a little more remote than doing it in a city, we wanted to use Tupper Lake and just talk about the bank robbery, because that was
Make sure we have cell reception or wherever,
and how
however they're
how
getting
it's
the
going to be.
signal.
Because depending on where they're at, they have to use, sometimes they'll use satellite, sometimes they're going to use different types of things in order to bring them.
Wow, fancy.
It's kind of see.
I assume some of these places we're going to go are going to be cell phone only, so.
If
Finally
that,
living up to people's expectations.
Yeah.
All those CSI shows.
They still can't usually get the thing solved in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Really?
It's an hour show, but.
I'm picturing the Google Earth car driving
Yeah.
around.
Right. Yeah, you should get one of those.
so we'd like to still do that.
Yeah.
And I don't have a day yet. I don't know a specific
There's
day.
snow there yet?
Um,
Probably is, right?
there wasn't much. I mean, it wasn't something.
East Coast.
But
Yeah.
typically, the morning works for you, right? Because that's what the 4-hour time.
Typically.
If we could get that.
Yeah.
There's kind of don't want to drive 3 hours again. Maybe we could just do it in Albany here. But we thought the memory lane trip at Tupper Lake would be more interesting, maybe for both of us.
Yeah, well, I spent a lot of time in Tupper Lake. I'm sure we can find our way around.
So you're thinking next week?
Yeah, I don't have a specific date yet, but we'll work on setting up a date next week. And we'll do it like we did this time, early enough that if you've got other stuff,
Right.
try not to
Yeah.
make a conflict with that, so that we can get you back there by mid-morning even.
Right. Yeah, I didn't realize you guys had, you went all out, huh? You didn't mention that when you came in.
Yeah, I did mention that. You weren't receptive.
Well, look, that's all right, it's your decision, but we just want to let you know they're going to set it up next week, and it'll be your choice whether to come over or not, but they're probably not going to set it. They're only able to do this.
We'll do it again.
Yeah. Gas is expensive. Keeping it within the budget and stuff.
Tupper Lake is probably still a good location now.
Yeah.
And the other thing is New York stuff. show you what they took from the property in New York.
All right.
Show you that. This is the list. Some of it's pretty, kind of generic in terms of the description of what these wrote, but I'll show you the old property.
Wow. You're going way back now.
What stuff?
All this stuff, anything from New York, you're going way back.
When's the last time you were there?
Well, I was there just a year or so ago, but living there, I haven't been there since.
You went, like, stayed there and then...
You went by there in
Just aside from
2011,
camping.
during the Victoria time.
Oh, yeah. Every time I'm back there, I go by, but I mean, all this stuff that's there it's like childhood memories.
Did you live there for a period of time?
Yeah.
How long?
A little less than a year.
7, 8 months, in 97, I think, right?
Yeah. 97.
Does it look the same?
I'm surprised the road is still there.
There's a lot of, on one side, it's missing a lot of shingles. I mean, which of these pictures will show.
Yeah, I thought, last time I was there, I thought the roof was falling in one spot.
But there's some other pictures, and apparently the basement, well, I got some pictures, the basement's got quite a bit of water in it. Oh, here you can see it better.
That's the indoor swimming pool.
Yeah, you can see it.
Is that high groundwater?
Yeah.
So this is the main house? Because there's a bunch of buildings. Or so, a few
There's like
buildings.
an old garage and an old shed, yeah.
Okay. And then here's the indoor swimming pool. In one of these pictures, you can see, maybe it's this one right here, just the angle. One of the support beams
Yeah.
is coming down, and so it's not super stable.
Surprised they were able to get down there.
That's through the window.
Oh.
You came down, put a ladder down through the window.
Okay.
And went down that way.
Yeah, those stairs don't.
Is that the kitchen of the main house?
Yeah.
I don't know, the other. Have there been other people staying there that you know of? Is that what all this stuff is from? This is a close up of that. Or was that how it was when you were there?
Last time I was there, it looked like there had been hunters or campers hanging out in there.
You just spent some time there?
Yeah.
Because there was a mattress on one of these floors too. It's not in these pictures. It might be just off as it's like there's a mattress in the kitchen area.
Yeah.
And then what building is that?
That's the garage. Yep.
There was no running water?
There was an indoor bathroom too.
Oh, there was, okay. And then you got a third building?
Yeah.
Did you guys have animals there at one point? Not like dogs and cats, but like animals in one of these?
There were
in one of
cows
the
there,
barn?
yeah.
That's what they said it looked like, it because there's some hay or straw and stuff still around. This was a box, that first sheet. There's a receipt on there, you can't really see it in the picture. There was an invoice for some guns and ammo back in 1994. Remember what that was for?
I recognize some of those books vaguely, but it's been a while since I've been through any of that stuff.
Did you have a place up there that you go to buy guns?
No, not in New York. I never bought guns officially. I was always under the table.
Okay. We'll get the invoice, because they said the invoice was in your name in March of '94.
That had a gun on it?
That's what I thought. I thought it had a gun on it. That was my interpretation, but I'll have them send up the invoice so we can look at it. Bunch of maps. Those yours?
Yeah.
Anything we should be
Before the
looking
days
for?
of computers.
Any X's on them anywhere or anything?
No.
We should be
I
looking
put
for?
X's on my map. Highlight. Highlight. I don't highlight maps either. The only map you found that had highlighting on it, I didn't do highlighting.
Who did the highlighting on that one?
I don't know. I found that map.
What about the map that when you
I
were?
think there was one in the car that was highlighted.
When I was arrested, yeah. Yeah, but I didn't do the highlighting on it. That's all I'm saying. I know that's what they were thinking.
Well, it was the interstate that was highlighted, and
Right.
you don't seem to really be an interstate kind of person.
No, that's just plain something.
Couple other things. There's a mattress out in the woods. You know what that is from?
No.
There were some clothes under it, there were some women's clothes under it.
Oh, I mean, you're not gonna find anything relevant on the question.
They were underneath it.
Kinky.
And then this is a photo from the fire pit area behind the house.
Oh, yeah.
It's a ring. It's like a men's ring. And these are some like beads from a necklace.
Huh. Yeah, I haven't burned anything in that pit for a long time, so.
Is any-
Anything that you found in there is probably from hunters or somebody who came from there. So, I mean, there hasn't been any, I put a gate across the road. As soon as my folks moved out of that place, but it only stayed up for a year or two, and then hunters cut it down. And
What are they hunting? What's there?
Whitetail.
Was there ever a time that you burned anything of significance in that fire pit?
No, not of great.
Anything related to crimes?
Possibly, but nothing, this is all ancient.
Nothing like this?
Yeah, no, this is all ancient stuff. This is before I haven't really spent much time there ever since I was in the Army.
Okay. So this isn't gonna be a ring to somebody that we need to be worried about?
No.
All right. I think the rest of these were, these are all just duplicates of some of those. Do you have any questions about this stuff? We're gonna get all of this up here, and so once we get it up here, we can pull it out. Like we'll grab this stuff, just see what that is. What the invoice is,
Okay.
some of this other stuff. Yeah, there's a little You know who that belongs to?
Oh, yeah.
We'll bring it in when we get it.
Sure.
So I think that, anything
You
about
said
this?
trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
There it was.
Yeah.
Okay, anything?
I didn't even realize I still had anything in that. I'm
Yeah, that's
guessing all
what I
that
did.
stuff was in the garage or something, or?
It was spread out. I think the box was in the garage. I don't remember where some of the other, like the road, some of the other specific stuff, but I know the box, pretty sure the box was in the garage.
Huh.
Okay.
And I think, we jumped into this, but just I had this stuff laid out to show you. Is this place look familiar?
Yeah.
I think we maybe even showed you these before. I don't know
No,
if
I
we did
saw
or
the
not.
ones with the gun.
Okay, yeah,
Was
these
that
were,
as they found it?
yeah. They might have pulled something away.
Just so
or
you can
the-
see where,
Okay.
about where it was.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I thought I kind of camouflaged it.
Yeah, that was sort of like walking up on it. You couldn't see
Okay.
it. We got a report, we just got all this stuff, sent it into the lab, so we do with everything that we get, and, on the tray that holds the ammo in there, there's a perfect right thumbprint. For Israel, please.
Yeah, right.
No, there is. I don't have the lab report back.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
So, more CSI stuff.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Well, I'm disappointed in myself mostly, but I'm excited.
The lab examiner called me. I don't have the report yet. When I get the report, though, I'll show you the report, but I'm not BSing it. It was on one of these two on the plastic tray inside.
Huh. Plastic tray, huh?
Like, this must be the plastic, like a bottom view of it,
Yeah.
or top view of it.
Okay.
Slides into that cardboard sleeve.
Well, it was kind of in a hurry, I guess. Whatever. I'm too lazy to even dig a hole for that one. Just piled rocks on top of it.
Are you planning on going back for that?
Yeah, this summer. That would have been a good trip. I still can't get over the disappeared house in Vermont thing.
You have big plans for this summer, back there?
Well, I was gonna go back there. I just pictured driving up, looking everywhere for that farmhouse and not being able to find it.
To burn it down?
Yeah, that would have been funny. But whatever, you guys did that for me.
Speaking of Vermont.
Yeah, speaking of Vermont, we were talking to Vermont on Monday. And they want to know what's going on. And they are interested in filing charges as they have been all along.
What,
So-
federal?
Well, you know.
You don't know?
No, I mean, we talked to both the state and federal prosecutors on Monday. And we want to know what we should tell them from your perspective.
Well, it's a little hard to talk about my general overall perspective right now, for obvious reasons, so.
Well, just tell us your perspective. I understand that, and we're not going to do that, but we are interested in your perspective on the Courier murders, because that's what they're interested in, right? And
They're also interested in, your cooperation on other crimes and where that stands and whether you intend to follow through on some of that. And so that's the kind of thing, that they're looking for from us.
Well, like I've said all along, my cooperation on other crimes is dependent on what's going on with crimes that I'm already charged with. And I've said that all along. As far as an interesting legal process, I guess you could say.
well, you've known, and we've talked about this quite a bit, that Vermont is willing to be patient if they think that there's forward momentum on solving other crimes, And I know that you don't care about that from the perspective of families of other victims, but Vermont does. And so there's a way to meet in the middle by giving something that they can then have. No, they don't need to know the details of it, they need to know we've gotten some details so that they can continue to hold on.
I just don't understand why, even from a legal perspective, I don't understand what the hurry is or what their issue is as to why they want to file charges, additional charges, when I'm clearly already charged with substantial ones.
Well, in Vermont, you've got state prosecutors who right now have an unsolved, according to the public, unsolved murder of the couriers. Right? So the law enforcement is under a lot of pressure.
They get calls from the press, they're telling us every week, little different state prosecutors are elected, so I think they probably feel more of an obligation to, inform the public than, people who are appointed with lifetime prosecutors.
Right. But since they've called off the search for the bodies, as far as the public knows, they can't even definitively say that it was a homicide. I know they already told everybody it was.
They know that, Vermont knows that.
Right, they know.
So Vermont, let's just be a really realistic approach to it. If you're a state prosecutor in Vermont, you want to come out and say, hey, here are the charges, we've got the guy, case is solved. That's what you want to do.
Right.
So you need to give them a reason to say, don't do that.
If you don't want her to do that. I mean, if that's the...
Well, like I say, my perspective at this point is they're asking for a reason, for me to give them a reason not to do that, and I have no reason to suspect that at this point that any information, any further information I give is going to be used or portrayed to the media in the way that I'm told it will be or won't be, just because that's the way it's played out so far. So if they're saying I guess what I'm saying is, that from my perspective at this point, it's a one-way street, and initially I thought there were ways that I could manipulate this situation, this case, all the related cases, to my benefit and on my timeline by withholding information and giving information out. And obviously, over the last few months, I came to the realization that I can't do that, not realistically. So,
Is that your real reasoning?
yeah.
I think we talked about for a while, an idea of this whole resolution on the Courier case, being able to kind of structure that disposition around some of your demands. And, we touched upon that, and I know that we can't talk about the other case, but,
Right.
it seems to me that, if you give us a list of demands in connection with federal case on the Couriers, that we can try to at least start meeting those demands. And at least say, to Vermont State that there's an expression of an intent to continue cooperation in exchange for these types of things.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. The problem is I don't have any typical demands, or there's not anything you can offer me at this point. And I realize that now. I realize that there's more to these cases than the people who sit in this room, and we're not the ones who pull all the strings on this. I'm realistic about that now. So. And because of things that have happened over the last couple months, I just feel like there's a lot of information that I've given out to date that 20/20 hindsight I wouldn't have given out, because I feel like now no matter what I do, it's gonna become public anyway, whereas if I hadn't given it out, you know, it wouldn't have, because you wouldn't have it, the information to give out in the first place.
Well, I mean, from our perspective, we've done a lot to respect your wishes about keeping the publicity low on this case, and I think if you recall, you told us that, yeah, you understand that we've done that. Now, over time, as things have slowed down and we haven't learned about real crimes, then the FBI and, authorities around the country have to take certain steps. Right? I think the search warrant is an example that, they said, hey, look, give us a reason to tell their bosses why they didn't need to do a search warrant of the released house. Why they didn't need to move forward, but they didn't have any reason. So I think you can see that we can have a lot of control when we have some information from you and cooperation from you. If we don't, then we all lose control.
And even Vermont's letter that I recall, they had this letter about, all right, you provide this, and we just kind of sit back and we don't get involved. And that brought us to that letter. And I think what happened in Vermont after that was sort of a function of, we're sort of not going along with that deal. And so I think that's what ended up happening there. I understand your perspective, but at the same time, I think there is a way to structure a deal around the couriers to satisfy some of your goals. Maybe not every one of them, but we can't do that unless we sort of have an exchange for future cooperation. Here's what I want to happen on the courier case. If we have that, I think that's a little bit more concrete to that.
Well, the only reason the courier case has even become an issue is because of me wanting to keep control of that situation before it became a situation. That's why we talked about it in the first place. The loose ends, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
That was my concern. As far as long-term, clearly the whole situation is going to turn into longer term than I anticipated, even from my perspective. And so my position on it at this point is, you're asking for more information, and I am still waiting to see what happens with the information I've already given. So essentially, what can happen is, it becomes a one-way street until I see what comes out the other end on some of these other issues.
Well, we're also looking at, from what you expressed earlier, the time frame. You all said, are we going to be sitting here a year from now? And this was going back 4 months or 5
Yeah.
months. So we're getting a lot closer, I think, to the year from now. Because
Yeah.
We've also talked about the way that Vermont initially came out. We were all kind of hadn't fully prepared for what could happen in Vermont, right? You said it, we've said it. And we've learned things from how we dealt with Vermont that would not necessarily be repeated in other jurisdictions. So, we have information about everything in another jurisdiction. We can approach them without even giving them any details.
I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, I feel like there's been several, I don't want to say breach of trust, because I know we don't trust each other, but based on initial things that were said verbally. Nothing in writing. I know we didn't have agreements hard and fast. I just feel like, especially with the last search warrants that were executed, it was done in a way that was clearly contrary to what my initial intentions were for the way this whole thing would play out. And, I hear what you're saying as far as it has to be done, but What I'm doubtful about is the motivation for doing it. Your motivation, or the FBI, whoever sanctioned that, their motivation for doing it in the way that they did it.
Well, hey, like you said, you're going to be suspicious of us, we're going to be suspicious of you, but frankly, when we sat down in this room, everyone here is trying to play straight with you. And I think if you understand the reality of the situation, and you're a pretty reality-based guy, I mean, you understand how the world works, is, once you stop telling us significant information about other crimes, then these guys couldn't control what the rest of the FBI is going to do. And the playbook says, if you've got a serial killer, you're going to have to go through that house, right, with a fine-tooth comb. Even though they can say, hey, Israel's told us there's nothing there. Well, they're going to do it. And the only way to hold that off is to say, well, look, he's cooperating, he's giving us information. But when we stop, then there's going to be consequences. We're trying to be as reality-based about this thing. We've always given you what we thought was actually going to happen in the real world. And it's the same thing from Vermont. If we had had more information from Vermont, maybe Vermont would have been a whole lot more quiet and cooperative. As it is, they've been really cooperative, right? They haven't filed any charges, but how long can we hold on to them without another piece of information? So,
you're a reasonable person. Don't you think use somebody else for an example, like this type of case, someone who's not cooperating and not talking with law enforcement, don't you think that if this would have been viral across the United States, every place you've ever been, don't you think that, if you hadn't been talking to us, we don't have any other choice but to try to do it on our own and use all the information that we've put together about you and your whereabouts and put it out to those communities for help. And we haven't done that because you've been talking with us.
Even the stuff you've done, you guys did, I think, a pretty good job, even on the search warrants. There were statements in the press that we're looking for evidence of other crimes. No one stood in front of a camera and did that. Cameras, may have shown up, but no one said a word. And we hope to still moving forward on this.
And you only be so discreet about doing something on like a street that's 6 houses long.
Well, especially if you block it off.
Yeah, we were trying to prevent people who we didn't want there to getting into that, but you can't stop.
I'm just saying, yeah, you've got to go by your playbook, but I refuse to accept that there weren't ways you couldn't have been more discreet or more. That's just my impression. I have nothing to go on other than what I see and my gut feeling on stuff at this point, because I feel like I get the trickle-down bullshit from all parties involved. So, that may or may not be the case, but that's just where I feel like I'm at right now.
right, we can't change your feeling, but we can, we've always come into this room trying to give you the straight scoop. And we've tried to deal with you that way, because we know that you're a smart guy and you know how the world works. And what I'm sensing, what you're telling me now is you're trying to, look at us as if we've been, manipulating you somehow.
No, I don't think anyone in this room has been manipulating. That's not my concern right now. My concern, you're asking for more information. You talked about it going viral. If I give you any more information and it somehow gets out and it gets in the paper again, one more snippet of information could push the whole thing over the edge, and then for the time being, as many times as it's been in the paper and there's still all this speculation, it hasn't really taken off.
And why do you think that is?
Well, I know it's because you haven't been giving official statements that you could, which I do appreciate that aspect of it. What I'm saying is, until I know what's going to happen with certain current issues, my big concern is that another rumor gets out. It doesn't have to come from you, just another rumor from somebody, I don't know. And then, I'm no longer in touch with all the different, I don't even know what's being said in the media or what has been said about the stories. I see little snippets here and there, but that's my concern, is that, if something else were to get out, and especially in a different area or something, then, you know, and now there's the whole Nia Bay aspect of it now too, you know, like, my kids live in Nia Bay now, and gossip is the town pastime, so that's my concern right now is it doesn't even have to be, I feel like at this point, it wouldn't even have to be something that was confirmed, it could just be a rumor, and
Well, you're not gonna get rumors coming out from us, and you haven't so far. The stuff that's come out is when when the people outside of this room feel like that you're not being forthcoming.
Right, I know.
And we can be advocates for how we want to pursue this case, but we need something we need material, we need currency, we need something to advocate with. And that's what that's exactly what we've told you for the last 6 months or more.
yeah, I understand that.
So,
What about, just the idea of, and I'm just thinking along the lines of what we don't tell vermonologists to stand down, even just a clue that doesn't give up anything from your perspective, but at least gives everybody something to work with behind the scenes, nothing that we, have to kind of go and publicize to the world, but a clue about, one of the past murders, that's really not going to reveal anything. So you're not playing any cards, but at least we're then going back to these guys' bosses and to Vermont and saying, look, you've given us a clue in exchange for this sort of discretion and for everybody to kind of stand down, so to speak.
Well, first of all, I don't know. You already have.
Sure.
You already have a lot of clues that I don't know about. You know, you have that
So
computer.
you wouldn't be giving anything away?
I'm just saying I think you have a lot of background on me at this point, I'm sure, that I don't even remember at this point. So,
The bosses above us, though, don't know what's on that computer. Beth and I know what's on that computer. So let's just use Frank's example for a second. So if you were to give us a clue, they don't know, our bosses don't know what, I'm being recorded. Our bosses don't know what is on that computer. So they're not going to know.
We'll be here next time.
So they're not going to know if we already knew that or not.
Vermont doesn't know either. They haven't seen the evidence. So you could be giving us nothing, but at least it's something we report to them.
Something, yeah,
He
exactly.
reported that he committed a murder in X state. Okay, no big deal. It's not going to give us anything after, given the timeline that you set forward, 14 years, but at least it's some sort of sign of progress. We can go back and say, no, he's actually given us a clue and things are moving forward, and they can sort of feel good about themselves for not doing.
when you say clue, are you talking about giving you names?
No.
Or what?
Keep the name, but give us the name of
A
the
state or something.
state and a time frame. Hey,
You already know some of the states.
sure, but give us something that we
Doesn't matter.
progress from where we were months ago. Is what we're looking for. I mean, Frank hadn't talked about this clue idea, but something that we don't. Obviously, you can tell us something we already have discussed in here. That's not progress.
Because everybody knows what's been discussed in here, but, let's assume it's something from your perspective, you're not giving us anything, because you think, hey, we already have it, it's a clue, and it's just something that gives us credibility that we can report, even though, maybe this is just a fiction. You give us, New York, New Jersey, all right, well, you told us New Jersey. Or, something other thing that we can kind of report back that, allows us a little bit of credibility with the people that we have to deal with.
Something.
Did you find any knives in New York or in the boat? Bowling knives, they're about 6 inches long.
I don't know. I think there might have been in the boat. You
think-
told
I
us
think
you
it's fine.
thought there was knives in the boat, right?
I think there was a knife.
There's
Oh.
2 knives that were not in Kimberly's house, and I don't know where they were. I thought they were in that bucket. I thought that they were, I may have left one in New York, or I thought there might have been one in the boat. Just knives that I had from a long time ago. But I haven't seen him in any of the pictures, so I don't.
He has Ted or.
Yeah, I can find out about the boat. I don't think there was a knife found in the boat. I don't remember a knife being neglected though in the photos.
The knives are. Well, there was a folding knife.
So why is that nice and folding?
Well, it's a folding knife, so I don't know. You took it apart, you might.
Would there be blood on the knife?
There, well, there might not on it, but maybe inside.
The kind that has the handles are actually bolted or screwed to it or something, it's not a solid piece, nothing you can disassemble it in some manner.
Yeah, like riveted.
Would the blood be from a long time ago or just a knife?
No, the blood's not from a long time ago, but I haven't carried it for a while, so I couldn't remember where I left it.
Any other places where it might be?
No, I don't.
Well, it was in the boat, it was a long time, it was like a long time ago.
Well,
2005.
right. Yeah, but, I mean, they're both knives that I got before that.
And would those be associated with the Washington murder?
Yeah.
On those lines, I'm waiting for Ted to respond.
Ted's the guy that was, that met with one
Yeah.
time he was up here. He's one who did the road search.
From Ted, on those lines. We talked to someone out at the lab when we were talking about, when the time comes when you decide that you want to give additional information so that we're prepared on what we need to do to be able to respond quickly. We asked about, what are the chances of if there is someone that is, if there's a body at the bottom of the lake, what are the chances of that body still being intact 7 years later, or that kind of thing? What are we going to be looking for, and what do we need to have in place in order to be able to find that? And one of the things that they said, which might be of interest to you, is depending on how the body was put down there, it's possible that the body is actually very intact. If the body was just tied to something and dropped it to the bottom of the lake, there's definitely still going to be long bones and that kind of stuff. You won't have finger bones and that kind of stuff. There'll be femurs and long bones and that kind of thing. If the body was contained in something, even a bag of some sort, it's very possible that the body could still be intact, depending on the depth of the lake. All of that determines the kind of equipment that we would need in order to locate the body. And so, obviously not asking for details about where and who and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of the Washington bodies, were they contained in something, or were they just tied to the milk jugs? I mean, is it something where we might possibly actually still get it intact?
No.
No. Okay. And that's helpful for them to know, because that's a whole different type of search that it would have to be than a different type of equipment. Let me just try to call him. Let's step out and try to call him.
Yep.
This is not answering the special.
And do you, I guess, because I'm kind of getting a different vibe now, do you still envision in the future us working together to the point where we can get this information?
Yeah, I don't see how we're gonna get anything else done. I just,
I know you're waiting for, whatever you're waiting for to find out. But
yeah, I have concerns with current issues, but, I can definitely proceed down the road. There's gonna be a lot more that can be resolved.
And that's good.
By going about it in a different manner.
Okay. Well, but that's good information, because we'll be able to pass that on. If
Yeah.
You're still open and you're still,
No, I haven't. My outlook on this, as far as the ultimate end result, hasn't really changed. It's just, has more to do with timelines, expectations, I guess.
but, and, you know, and the balancing game that we're talking about doing is we're just trying to keep everybody happy the best we can till we get to that point. And that's kind of a difficult balancing act for us.
Right. And it sounds like you're holding on to some of this stuff to trade in for something you might need later. True?
Well, yeah, because I don't have much else to.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is, you know, this whole clue idea, you know, might give us a little short-term solution to kind of keep this thing moving the way we want it to move. And maybe even gets you something in the short term, you know, if you're thinking about like, I don't know, you know, you come, you give a clue and, you know, you want lunch or something like that. I mean, that's something that can be worked out.
Ooh, you need a candy bar.
I know, that's what I think, you know, I don't know if he feels guilty about it, but.
If you had a cigar, you'd probably pass out if you had a cigar right now.
But I mean, the notion of this whole idea is, you know, hey, you come over, we keep things going, you know, at least on a smaller scale. You're not giving up anything in terms of trading value, but you're giving us credibility with other people we have to deal with. You're not giving us any useful information really, other than, all right, well, we got, you know, a night in Washington. It's not like we're going to solve the clue game on that, like, you know, Professor Plum in the library and that thing. But it gives us a little bit of, you know, stuff to go back with people and buy time and buy what we need to buy. And, you know, in the short term, you know, if you have short-term needs that you think, you know, it might be fun to have sushi. That's something that, you know, can be arranged. We're not talking about, you know, huge clues here.
What did you guys find in the boat? Was there anything left?
I thought we went over
Yeah.
10 clues.
I saw the list.
There was no knife. Oh, you mean in terms of the lab?
Yeah.
It has not, everything has not gone to, finished up at DNA yet. So it's possible that there were some areas that did test positive for blood, just when they do like they call it the presumptive test, when the people that were searching it. So those things went into the lab, and some of those things were like the screws from holding the carpeting in, and that kind of thing. Those have not come back yet from DNA. The little, there were some little fragments that they thought might have been bone fragment, was not bone, did not test positive for bone. That one's come back.
Sand or something.
Yeah, they didn't, we didn't ask what it was, but it wasn't bone.
Right.
There's some hair that is not yours. But the way they figure out hair.
I was mostly curious if they found any blood.
Yeah, there was.
I just wasn't sure how long, because it's been sitting there in the rain for so long. I was curious if there was, I mean, I know there was when I parked it.
Yeah, there was. We haven't heard anything back about it, and then they need something to compare it with.
Right.
So there's no knife?
No knife, there was no knife in the boat.
It may have been, I don't know what happened to that night. It was a Tonto, cold steel Tonto.
How big? Like, was it
It had it was a 4.5 inch folding blade. And I think I bought it at Walmart.
Do you remember what color the handle was?
It looks very similar to the one that I had on me when I was arrested. Just a different blade style, same company and everything, I think.
So if I'm correct about that, that was the murder weapon for one of the Washington murders.
Well, it was involved.
It was involved.
I think we talked about before when we were asking about federal jurisdiction about guns.
Yeah.
Were any of either of those different shot? No. Strangled?
We'll get the whole story eventually.
Right, we're just gonna get parts so that we can move.
No, the only person I ever shot was Bill Curry.
Everybody else is strangled.
Yeah.
Or, I don't want to have the wrong impression, you know, so everybody else was strangled or those or something else.
No, one of the Washington things that was, it's just, no, it wasn't strangled. I hit somebody in the head, so.
Did you mean to kill them or they died? Was there a struggle and you hit them and they died, or did you mean to kill them that way?
No, I wasn't trying to kill him, I just took him out of action.
I think we read that in one of those letters with the male and female couple.
Yeah. That's sort of, I don't know. Rich mentioned that they gave you all that stuff. I should have asked them to give me copies so I know which ones you have.
We could go over that together and we could fill in the blanks at some point in time.
Well, we know in
I
Washington.
didn't realize they were allowed to take stuff out of my cell that I wasn't naming. That was pretty good.
Well, we know from that there was a couple in Washington State, an example, female couple. So we read that in the Are those the same couple from that you took to the boat and from to the lake? Or are there others?
Well, they went in that hole.
No.
Yeah. They were buried.
Yeah, that was wow.
That was a long time ago. Right after the, is that right after the military? You told me it was right after the military, after you got out of the military.
It was before I got the boat.
And you were told this one time that, you know, it wasn't long when you got out of the military that he killed somebody, and it was that sort of feeling that he needed to do something. It was hard to resist.
And the days before he drowned.
Is it fair to say that we're looking at a lot around, more around the Washington area than now? Just the two in Washington?
No, there's a couple. There's a couple in Washington, and then the two later in the book. Is that right?
Yeah.
So if we can't find this knife, this one, unfortunately, that doesn't give us much to go on.
And if we took, I know we had some knives, I don't know what all we had.
I think that's something that Kimberly was told.
Is it possible it was at Kimberly?
I don't think so. I haven't seen it for several years.
Could be in the different washings you cash.
No.
The Wyoming one you talked about?
A couple of husband and wife, you know?
I'm not gonna talk about this.
What about other caches, like another cache?
Well, the other caches aren't related to any, I mean, that one you direct was the only one directly related to a murder as far as I know. The guns, some of the guns were stolen.
So that would give us something to go on if there was a cache that they could go and retrieve.
Yeah. So,
That would keep, I
Everybody
think that would
likes
keep the
very
FBI busy. Yeah.
I'll have to think about which ones I'm willing to part with.
That's right.
If you thought
It all still belongs to me.
Have a
so you
have a
know
candy
about
bar.
it.
if you thought of one that you wanted to give up, that maybe we might be able to work something out with our video.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, that's another issue, is there, the others I can't find just with satellite maps, so
We have
I
to.
can give you general areas.
Yeah. Well, if you gave them a general area, they could probably get some.
We just have to have enough information to get a hold of, you know, the tech person.
That covers that area.
Right.
So again, you know, would be a cash, it's not related to anything, so you're really not giving up any of your cards to trade with.
Well, that's the issue, they're all related to stuff, they're just, yeah, I just have to think about it.
Well,
I want to try and remember what's in.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of interesting for you too. You'll get to see what's in there and you'll get to see them again.
Yeah, and then it'll be
That
like
may
one of those oh shit moments, once you dig it up and I see what's in there.
Israel, there's been too many oceans.
Yeah, well, I've had enough, I've had my share for the year.
Well, you know, this is just the way. Well, why don't you, if you were able to do that, I think that's going to buy us, and give everybody something to do, and people like to have something to do. If they can be digging up a cache, and then you'll get to see how the video works, and you'll get to see what's in there.
How long does a body last in a freshwater lake? I mean, because there's no critters that eat
It depends how,
bodies in
it depends how
freshwater lakes, right?
deep, I learned a lot.
It depends on deep, the
Depends how deep it
temperature of
is,
the water.
and if the body's contained in something.
And it's not critters, it can be like,
Bacteria.
Yeah.
Organism.
They were talking.
So if the water is below, say, 45 degrees all the time.
I would think that would be good. And I think you said up to 80 feet at one point in time.
No, there's one that's a lot deeper than that.
Like 200 feet.
So we should like get a submarine.
Or deeper. Deeper than 200 feet.
You guys know about Lake Crescent in Washington?
How deep is it?
I think that lake is 500 to 700 feet deep. They've
Really?
never been to the bottom of it. There's people who've gone off that lake, and they still haven't gone. Their cars are in it.
And that's the lake.
That's one of the lakes.
So this is really deep. So this thing is never going to be able to recover.
Well, it's
Yeah,
over
submarine.
200 feet.
You said 500 feet.
That's
the
the
lake.
deepest part, but I'm
Oh.
saying, I don't know how deep it was. I know the general area, and I had a fish finder, but it didn't register how deep it was. I just
It was
know
like-
it was over 100
Maxed out at
feet.
100 feet.
Oh, is that your fish finder goes to
I
100?
think, I don't remember, I just know, if you've been to the lake, you would see what I'm talking about. It drops down like a V, so depending
But
on
you
how-
didn't go to the 500-foot place as far as...
No, I wasn't, I was near the edge, but, 30 feet out from the bank on that lake, it drops down to 50, 60 feet already, and anyway, so.
The lab was talking about a case recently, actually, where they recovered a car that had been submerged in water. And I don't know how deep it was even in, but it was a relatively cold lake. And because it had been submerged and water still got in, but critters and others weren't able to get in the car. And that was in the 40s, in the 1940s, and part of the body was still intact because the person was protected by the car. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. But there will definitely, even if there wasn't skin or things like that, long bones can be recovered. We're just be missing small bones.
Yeah, I know they run out.
But if there's other specifics in terms of things that you know of depths and temperatures and that kind of stuff, you can certainly make some phone calls and find out what.
Well, I figured you would have guessed that, like, that was pretty obvious. But, I always have been curious as to what it looked like. I would think as deep as that lake is, it's probably sitting there just exactly as it was when it first touched down. I know most freshwater lakes that deep, there aren't even that many fish that go down that deep.
But that was not in anything, it's just ropes or something holding it.
Is that the milk jugs that you said?
Well, that's what the weights were.
Milk jugs, how many milk jugs? I mean, is it gonna move around?
No.
How many milk jugs? No.
At least 4 or 5, I think.
Just for one body? Well, what about a cache that they can work on for next week?
Well, the easiest would be Washington. So I know my way around there a little better.
The agents are ready.
But I have to, I'll think about it.
I'm trying to remember what's in it.
Do you want them to line it up? That's the thing, we can't make the decision that day because they won't have time to, they won't have time to line it up.
You think about it over the
live
weekend.
feed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if you think about it over the weekend or something.
Yeah.
And if there's anything you want, like,
Can you give me like an hour on the internet, maybe?
Sure.
Yeah.
Before we do this.
You want an hour on the issue?
You can do a little research first. I've been in info blackout for too long.
I think that's, you think about that, and if there's anything you want short-term in terms of.
I was joking, I wouldn't do that anyway.
No, I'm not talking about the internet, I'm talking about, like, yeah, if you want some sort of, all right, I'm gonna do this, but,
You wouldn't do that on the internet if we set a computer down here?
Oh, because I know you're just gonna go right to everywhere I went.
I wouldn't do that to you.
No.
But yeah, no, anything, to kind of satisfy any short-term goals you have, even if it's just food or coffee or, whatever, obviously get coffee anywhere, but, again, it's sort of a situation where I think you're not giving up anything, you're giving us help with whoever we need to persuade, and
Right.
I think it,
No, I can see I see your point of view, I do on this, but at the same time, I have my own frustrations right now as well, so.
But even, like, this is productive, this would be viewed as productive, you said you came over, we got stuff, and so.
It's only productive from a non-prosecuting attorney's point of view.
It's productive for us.
Elvis, you already got me on enough stuff, it's okay.
I'm
not getting out on bail anytime
You keep
soon.
thinking that I'm not trying to work with you, I am, but from my perspective, Israel said he's gonna do a lot of things on a short time frame, and we've been sitting here
Yeah,
looking the
well,
months away, and
leave me unaware of the month clicking. I'm just, I have a new appreciation for things being done at a different speed, that's all.
So let me just make sure I'm clear on the cash. Do you have a general area now that you can give us, or do you want to think about it?
Washington, right?
But I mean, even
Oh,
that there's,
the two
it's a big
districts.
state. And we have offices in a bunch of places, so we have to figure out which office we're working with.
Within 50 or 100 miles of.
Is there anything close to Neah Bay or out
Well,
in that
yeah,
area?
yeah, not near Neah Bay, but in that.
That area? Okay.
That'd be 10.
Outside of Seattle, between Seattle and
Yeah.
Right.
You already met those agents already, so it's not like
Yes,
a brand new
arranged with
people.
them.
Can I see that top picture?
There's more pictures from this too, I didn't grab them all. I can print them all out and have them for you next time. I know there were a couple, blood and gun parts and pieces, but I don't, there aren't any notes in this one. So, I'll grab, I can grab the rest of the pictures, that's nice. Okay, so, do you want me to try to set that up for next week? I don't know, I'm obviously not gonna know a day until I.
From Port Angeles, right?
Somewhere.
Port Angeles.
Yeah, I don't set up a time yet. I gotta try and remember.
Once you get the computer, you can look right now if you want.
Where?
Is that gonna help
An
you
area?
remember?
Google, you can look at Google right now if you want.
Well, you know the area,
I
right?
know the area. I'm trying to remember what's in it.
He's trying to remember what he has.
That's probably not going to be on Google.
No.
We can find that together, we'll just, open it up and do like Al Capone's vaults.
It's not that impressive. It's just, I'm more concerned about the little stuff that might be in it. Well. Things you never thought you'd be talking about. And then on the Tupper Lake thing, you had agents up there with the cameras, but you just wanted to talk about the bank robbery, or were you?
Well, what we had set up was, we just had them at the bank robbery parking lot to show you the live feed that we could do.
We can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
We didn't have any expectations, but we thought the natural progression, because of
Right.
what we've been talking, would be in that general area, so we wanted to get things moving there.
Right.
You know, and if you wanted to just like pull out of the parking lot and then take us to the river bend, that's all the better.
Well,
But,
yeah, I was just.
You would be driving.
yeah, it would be like you'd be driving. So, because we thought maybe that's how it's going to have to be eventually, maybe is that you might have to be in the driver's seat, so to speak, to see, landmarks or whatever you need to see.
Yeah.
Almost as good as being out.
I'd like to tell you we were going to drive you to the dig site, and we were going to show you what we were doing, but
I'm having a harder time remembering roads than Port Angeles, so I wasn't. I'm sure I can figure it out.
well, you need that computer for an hour or two.
No, I just haven't driven this road. All right, well,
So we won't set it up, we'll just
We'll get them working on it though, because.
get their
it's-
tech.
Yeah, their tech, geeky guy has to
Their geek
get the
squad.
camera and get everything all kind of set up.
right.
So we will get that moving, and then we can touch base with you at the beginning of next week. And have a better idea of what your schedule is going to be like, and I can figure out when everything, and I'll know at that point what their schedule is going to be, and we can maybe figure out some time that will work.
Yeah, we might be able to have another meeting next week. Might have a
All right, what we may do then, Jeff and I may come by the jail and just figure out that piece that we were just talking about the timing, and then we can go from there.
In the meantime, I'm supposed to talk to them all tomorrow, and I'll just tell them that, just move them on, use other clues and use that to our advantage.
Yeah, I don't really understand the role we're not going to play out.
It's frustrating from our perspective.
I mean, hypothetically, if they charge me federally, would they indict me up here, or would they, I just don't understand, considering everything else that's going on, why they would, or how, I guess not why, but how it would work. I don't, like the logistics of it.
Well, like I said, they want to be able to have solved that crime solved.
Right, they want to put my name on it, I
That's right.
understand that.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not
right.
going to be officially solved till,
Exactly.
I know, but they want to be able to put your name to it.
Right,
And,
I
you know,
understand that.
And then the question is how that, that'll work. Do they want to file the charges there? And that's what we're
Yeah.
looking at.
And it's a lot easier for them just to stomach it if they, their forbearance is giving rise to clues to other murders, whatever those clues might be. I think
Yeah.
that is able to accomplish our goal.
I understand their perspective, I guess.
Yeah.
But and from my perspective, though, even if they were to officially charge me at this point, it's not like it would be real breaking news anyway.
I think, in some ways it would be, because no law enforcement person has ever confirmed that you're
Right.
attached to that, so.
It would just be confirmation of everyone's current speculation.
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying. So I'm not interested in it from that point, I was just interested in it from a logistics point, like where, do they have to fly me to Vermont, if they're gonna charge me, or?
Well, that's,
here,
those are some of the questions.
We're hoping not to get there.
Is it warmer in Vermont?
It just got snow the other day. We talked to them Monday, and it just snowed, they told us.
They got more snow than us then.
Yeah.
Got a quota for last year.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
All right, I will run the busy up and.
You gotta take a leak or anything for me? Take a breath.
I'm sorry.
You're not gonna eat this,
No, I'm good, thank
for
you.
sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.